Hi, my name is Bill, and today I'm going to be showing you how to replace the insulation on your oven. The reason why you would have to do this is because the insulation is old, letting a lot of heat escape, or because it's been infested with rodents. For this repair, we'll be using a small Phillips head screwdriver, a putty knife, 2 punches, a regular size Phillips head screwdriver, a pair of needle nose pliers, and 2 pairs of channel locks. Warning: before doing any repairs, please disconnect your power source. So this is the stove we're going to be using for this repair. It's a Whirlpool. Keep in mind, yours at home might be a little bit different than what we've got here, but the same techniques should still apply. The first thing you want to do is make sure you turn your gas off. So to take our gas line off, I'm going to use 1 pair of channel locks, and I want to hold on to this part right here. And I'm going to use our other pair of channel locks in order to grab the line. And I'm going to twist both of them in opposite directions. That way we're not spinning endlessly while we're trying to loosen it. Now I've got that loose, I can undo it by hand the rest of the way. So the next thing we're going to do is remove the grates from the top of the stove, as well as the burners and the burner caps. And now I have to remove all the burner screws from the stovetop. Now that I've got all the screws off, I'm going to be using a putty knife, sticking it in the side right here. There's going to be a little clip. Push it in on it, and lift up on the stovetop. We're going to find that clip, push in, and lift up. Lift up the back so it goes over the tabs, and then you can remove it just like that. So if you see these red strings right here, those are our surface burner igniters. The surface burner igniter is the piece that sticks up through here along with the cord that goes and it plugs down into the module down here. I'm going to take this guard off right here so you can see exactly what it's being plugged into. With that unscrewed, it should just come right out. Now if you take a look here, this is where our igniters are plugged in, and I'm going to unplug all of those now. Alright. Now the last thing I have to do before I can take this off is remove this grounding screw. So I'm going to use a shorter Phillips head screwdriver on that. And I just remove the wire. And I'm going to put the screw back in there so that doesn't get lost. Now we can take our cooktop and set that off to the side. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this support bar right here. So we've got 2 screws in it. Now we can take the bar off and set that to the side. The next thing we're going to do is on the front, on each corner, there are a few screws. We're going to remove those. Those help hold the side panels on, so we need to get those off. Now we're at the back of the stove. We're going to remove a couple screws right there so that we can get this top control panel piece off the frame of the stove. Now I'm going to be removing the screws from the front. Now we've got a couple of screws on the inside as well. And the one on this side. Now I'm going to remove the screw right here. And to get the last screw holding this on, we have to remove this panel here. Just make sure as you remove this screw, try and hold the panel so that it doesn't fall on you. And now we'll remove the last screw. So last I've got to unplug this wire here. We'll push down on the clip right there and then pull it apart. So now I can tilt the whole panel forward. I want to tilt it over that styrofoam. And I'm just going to let it rest right on the front here. Now I have to remove all of the screws on each side on the back here, as well as this bar. There we go. And then as we take this screw out, we'll just let that slide down to the ground. And same thing with this one. As you remove that screw, let it go down to the ground. Now as we remove this screw, we're going to support that bar so it doesn't fall down, and we'll just rest it on the ground. Now we'll turn the stove back around, and we've got a couple more screws on the side holding this on. So first I want to remove this door here, pull out the drawer, tilt up, and pull it out. Now there are a couple screws on each side, so I want to take those out. Now we'll open up the oven door, and again, screw on each side down there and at the top, so we'll be removing those next. Now I have to remove this front plate, so I want to take all the knobs off, and we're just going to simply pull them straight off. And we've got 4 screws on here as well to remove. And we're just going to tilt it and pull it forward. So now we have to take the oven door off. We're going to be using this small thin punch right here. If you have a screwdriver or anything else that fits through that hole, that works as well. Just put the punch into that hole. Now close it as far as it'll go. And we'll lift the oven out. And set it off to the side. And on this side, you'll notice there's a couple of wires up in the clips there. So the last thing we have to do is just take them out of the clips. And we'll set them on top of the machine. The sides of the oven should just slide right off. Now I have to remove this screw in order to get this panel off. And we've got this wire in here that's holding it from falling over. Don't have to take that off. We can just slide this panel out and around the wire and set that off to the side. And now I have to do the same thing to the other side. So here's a screw on the other side. And now we can do the same thing. Just pull this out and around that wire. And set it off to the side. So for this side, I'm going to just take the wire off because I'm going to have to pull the insulation out. So all we have to do is just untwist this wire and feed it down through this hole. But we don't have to take it off the bottom. We'll just set that off to the side there. Get the insulation off. It's not stuck or anything. You can just pull it right out. And we'll turn it to the other side. Get it loose here. And once you've got it loose, you can pull this wire off too if you want to. So what we can do with the insulation is we can just start kind of feeding it through this side, and we can pull it through on the other side. So now we're on the other side, and we'll just pull it through. Be careful not to rip it, especially if it's an older piece, because that is definitely something that could happen. It looks like we might not be able to avoid ripping it, just because it's old and so destroyed. So we'll just get it all out in chunks as best as we can. Now you can grab your new OEM replacement insulation. If you don't have any already, you can find one on our online store. So now we'll unfurl this, and what we'll do is just feed it up in here and feed it all the way onto the other side. Now that we've got this all the way pulled through, tuck it in on each side. Once we're all tucked in, make sure you get this wire, put that through the loop again, and just give it a couple twists so it stays in place. We're going to feed this through here again. And then line everything up. And we'll screw it in. And now we'll go to the other side. Put this wire through the hole. Give it a couple twists. Now we'll put the other metal panel back on. Now I'm going to feed this back through here since I pushed that through earlier. There we go. And now I'll start putting the sides back on. So I'm going to get this. So I want to make sure this front lip right here goes in front of this here. And then those tabs go inside the slots. And then I can screw those in. Now this one in the middle. Now I'll do the same thing with the other side. Make sure I put the front end in first so that the tabs all line up. And then we'll screw them in. Now we'll go to the back again. So I'm just going to point these out real quick as well. These are just two screws holding this top plate on. If you are having trouble removing the insulation or putting the new insulation in, you can take those two top screws out, then that entire top panel will come off, and you can do it a lot easier. Line up the screw holes. Now I'm going to get this one second from the bottom here. Now I'll get the very bottom one on, and I'll make sure I put a screw through the bracket first. Line up the holes, screw it in. And I'll do the same thing with this one. Line up the holes. And on this side, again, I'm going to start with this second one from the top. Now I'll just work my way down. Since this is in, it will be a lot easier. We'll just screw that bracket in. Now this last one, screw in, and there we go. So now I'm going to put the back control panel back up. I'm just tilting that back. Line up all the holes, and we can plug this back in. There we go. All right, and once you got all your holes lined up, start screwing everything back in back here. Now I'll put this back into place, line up the holes, and screw this panel back on. Now I'm going to get these front screws in. Okay. Now we'll put the bottom drawer back in. Just tilt that in forward and slide it straight back. And now I'll get the screws lined up with these brackets here, and we'll screw this assembly back into place. Now we'll screw the support back in. Now I want to grab all these wires. I want to put them back in their clips up there. There we go. Now I'll put this front panel back on, making sure that I tilt it forward first so it's underneath, and make sure it goes on top of these brackets up here. So when we put this on, we're going to put the hinges in first and go up with those, and then come back out, open the oven door all the way so that we can pull out these pins, and then we'll close the door. And I'm going to screw in our grounding wire first, so I want to put the grounding wire into the screw. And now, using our small screwdriver, I'm going to attach that back to the back of the cooktop. we'll set the stovetop up and we'll reattach all of our igniter wires. Now just plug all the wires back in. Doesn't really matter which one they go into. So now we're going to set the range top back down, and I'm going to make sure that I get this lip on the back on top of these tabs right here. And once I do that, just make sure it's nice and flush against the back and push it down so it clips in. So now what I'm going to do, because these aren't completely lined up, I'm going to use a pair of needle nose pliers, and I'm going to just grab a small piece wherever I can, line up the holes, and screw it back in. Now that that's all screwed down, I can put our burners and burner caps back into place. So now we're going to reconnect our stove to the gas line. There we go. Tighten it the rest of the way with our channel locks. There we go. In case your adapter is spinning inside, you might want to get another pair of channel locks just to hold that in place. And then you can tighten it the rest of the way. There we go. And now we can turn our gas back on. And your repair is complete. Finally, don't forget to plug in your appliance. If you need to replace any parts for your appliances, you can find an OEM replacement part on our website, PCApplianceRepair.com. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, comment, and share our video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us make more videos just like these for you to watch for free.